The truths cannot be hidden forever. At the time, I would always say, there's nothing new under the sun, and there's nothing that can be hidden from the lights being shined on it.
Let's talk about the real Ilhan Omar. See, she was born in Mogadishu, Somalia in 1982, but she wasn't a feed the children Somalian. No, she was part of the privileged elite. See, her father served as a colonel in the Somalian National Army during the rule of Siad Barre, the military dictatorship in which human rights organizations have documented severe abuses, including mass killings, torture, and widespread destruction of civilian infrastructure. Civilian deaths estimated as high as 200,000 people. But that's not all. When the regime fell and Somalia descended into civil war, her family fled. They spent years in a refugee camp in Kenya before they were granted asylum into the United States. Later, she became a naturalized citizen. Fast forward, in the United States, she aligned herself with the Justice Democrats, the same political action committee that held casting calls to find AOC and Rashida Tlaib. And they aligned perfectly with the ideology she grew up with in Somalia and promotes today in Minnesota. See, the sweeping structural reform and expanded government authority in areas like policing, economics, and foreign policy. Some may even say that the turmoil and chaos in her city looks a lot like the beginnings of a civil war. Isn't it funny how people's worldview is shaped by their early environment? The question is this what we need in America right now?
Also asking Congresswoman Craig to initiate an ethics investigation into Congresswoman Omar because of questions about federal tax fraud, federal immigration fraud, federal student loan fraud, and state violations of perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and acts of campaign fraud abuse in Boston, Washington, New York, Chicago, and Florida. There are also violations of state ethics or of the Minnesota House ethics rules regarding colleges for speeches she gave while she was in partial control of their budgets as a member of the House Higher Education Finance Committee in both 2017 and 2018. She was found guilty of the violations by the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board 3 weeks ago in order to return those funds on June 6th. Ms. Omar appears to be a serial career criminal and should not have access to our nation's highest secrets and intelligence. That is why I'm calling on our Congresswoman Angie Craig to protect both our national security and our respect of the rule of law. Tax fraud, immigration fraud, student loan fraud, perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and campaign abuse fraud from the East Coast to the Mississippi River. If those charges have been...
All right, guys, you are not going to want to miss this one. Woke liberal Somali Congresswoman Ilhan Omar looks like she may be removed from Congress and deported. If the allegations in this story are true, Omar is finished. And stay till the end because I do have some evidence that actually backs up the claims that are made here. Take a listen to this.
With a federal investigation underway concerning the immigration status of Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, one woman has been publicly raising red flags for years, and she believes she knows where the trail will lead. You know, President Trump has been calling Congresswoman Ilhan Omar into question recently, and White House border czar Tom Homan has confirmed there is an open investigation concerning her immigration status. You're no stranger to politics, I know, AJ, having run for Congress yourself, but you have been raising red flags about Omar for years now. I know there's a bit of a backstory here, but walk us through what you've uncovered.
Right. Well, in 2019, I was looking at something about Ilhan Omar on the internet, and it occurred to me to look at her birth year. I don't know why, or birth date. And so found out that she was actually 18 in the year 2000 when her father became eligible to apply for citizenship.
Now, this is massive because Ilhan Omar claimed to be a minor and got her citizenship through her father at the time. But if she was not a minor, then she would have had to get it on her own. Now, this should be easy enough to verify, you would think. But take a listen to this, and it's truly shocking.
Not anyone has ever verified her citizenship, not the Minnesota Secretary of State, the FEC, or Congress itself. I then went to the Minnesota Secretary of State's office in October of 2019, I believe, and I asked questions and found out that they didn't verify her citizenship, and they actually don't.
So how do you verify their citizenship if they're foreign born?
But that's outside of our realm. There's no authorization in the statutes for us to follow, double check on people, verify their status and things like that. They sign the affidavit. That's the certification statement, and that's just the way it is right now. There is no law that requires us, and in fact, because there is no law telling us to do that, we would be violating the laws by checking up on people. We don't verify everybody is a citizen. We don't verify everybody is a citizen. We don't verify everybody is a citizen.
Now, this is just unbelievable. You have to be a U.S. citizen to be a member of Congress, and nobody has ever verified that. Not to mention that Ilhan Omar actually changed her date of birth on the official government website. Take a look at this.
Yeah, you've been putting all of this out there on social media. And again, you have been for years. I know one of your posts recently was even shared by President Trump's Truth Social account. It's not just your opinion, though. You've documented all of this. And you can see for yourself, the screenshots were, as you say, Omar changed her birth year from 1981 to 1982. Despite the documentation, many still have doubts, especially those who pointed out that USCIS doesn't release full records publicly and name verifications may affect searches. But what do you say to those who doubt this story?
I believe that the whole narrative that Ilhan Omar became a citizen at the age of 17, that narrative that's documented has been sold for so long that people have bought into it and they believe it. But where's the documentation? No one has seen her official naturalization records. No one. Not the Minnesota Secretary of State, not the Federal Election Commission, not Congress. And there is enough evidence now, especially in changing her birth year. I mean, who does that? Who goes to that effort of, oh, I'm in Congress now and I've just noticed that my birth year is incorrect? No, that's a red flag.
That is a huge red flag. Who changes their birth year after they get elected to office? But I want you guys to take a look at something that may have gotten glossed over. Look at the document they showed during that clip. This is an immigration search request for Ilhan Omar's father, Nur Omar Muhammad, and it says it's a non-existence of record, which means that there are no immigration records existing for him, and they go back all the way to 1924. That is very bizarre and just raises more questions. Now, all of this would be very easy to put to rest if Ilhan Omar would just at least deny it or address it in any way. But take a listen to what has happened so far.
I know you've been, again, publishing all of this for years, claiming that Ilhan Omar is a foreign nationalist sitting in U.S. Congress. I'm curious, though, what kind of backlash have you faced for all of this, and has she disputed your findings at this point?
Well, Ilhan Omar has never disputed anything that I have publicly shared or questioned. Never. She's never addressed it.
So, AJ, with all of this attention recently on Omar's citizenship, do you think that something will finally happen?
Liz, I've done the work. I've done the research. I've put it out there for people to see. So am I hopeful? Yes, I am. I'm hopeful, but I'll believe it when I see it. And hopefully Tom Homan will go get the documents from the government directly and not settle for something that Ilhan Omar or her attorneys dig up. But I am hopeful that something will happen, but we'll see.
For somebody who can't seem to keep their mouth shut like Ilhan Omar, not even disputing this or ever addressing it is a red flag by itself. Let's hope Tom Homan investigates this and that Congress does their job and removes her after the findings come out.
Wonders, they say, shall never come to an end. Wow. What's on the news line as we speak? Breaking right now, Ilhan Omar is trending after statements circulating online about deportation and whether she would ever leave the United States. Now, let's be clear, there's a lot of noise, speculation, and strong opinions on both sides. Some people are saying this proves deeper political tensions around immigration, while others argue it's being taken out of context or amplified for reactions. What this really shows is how sensitive and powerful the conversation around immigration and leadership has become in America today.